Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.
Okay, so let's start. It's almost 10 o'clock right now, so let's start. So today's topic is Win Your Seminar, or we will focus more on what are the attributes which will make somebody presenting in a seminar or a webinar, a program, like giving a info session. And from this info session, you should be able to get people to sign up to your program. Okay? And
you call it a presentation, or
it's like, it can be a presentation, it can be a 20-minute talk. And the outcome of today, in the workshop of next week, you should be able to have time on Saturday to practice in front of whoever will be in the room your presentation. Okay, so one of the
your workshops this weekend.
Yeah, the next one. If you come, you can practice. Everybody has a license to come, so we'll talk about it after lunch break. Okay.
So this today is Win Your
Seminar.
Seminar.
Yeah. We focus more on the seminar, and the seminar can be to 3 or more, which is a little presentation. You have already a handout called the Selling Through Presentation, or Selling through from the Stage, and I want to focus on a few things. So we understand the power of a story. So why we say stories have power?
Personal.
So you want to say personal? What else?
Invokes emotion.
What else?
Many people can relate to it.
Relate to it. Relation. What else? It's memorable. People remember stories, that's right?
People are what?
Remember.
Memorable. People remember stories. Like, if I tell you a story, and the story is structured in a specific way, it has specific flavors. How many of you went to a restaurant and they remember the food was so spicy, but they don't remember what the food was?
Yeah.
How many of you have? How many? So why did you remember that the food was spicy?
You could burn my tongue.
Impact.
Because it's abnormal. It's something we don't usually do. Okay? So these are, you can keep going more and more. So these are the power of stories. If you want to understand when we start to have stories, like when human beings start to tell stories.
And they were sitting around the fire.
Yeah, where they were sitting around the fire. So was human being 40,000 years ago, they were sitting around fires telling stories. That's it. So we tell stories. So if you want to have someone engaged with you, you must engage them with a story. We are not storytellers, and nobody's born as a storyteller. We learn how to tell a story. Do you agree? So when you talk about the attributes you mentioned here, what do you mean the story is personal?
It's my own experience, life experience.
So do you want to have your story as your own experience? We are talking here about stories which will sell, not stories which is telling stories, not
Story that means something to someone.
yes, means something to someone. So if I have a program, which this program will take sad face to be a happy face, and I am selling this transition here, if I'm selling this transition, what kind of stories how I want to make the story personal?
Experience of my own where things were.
I want to make it personal to the customer or the client who is sad, not mine.
So you have to know them.
You have to know their status, and you should be able to tell a story which will demonstrate somebody like them so they can relate to it, and how you can transform it
Smile.
to a happy face. Now, what are the type of sad faces and what are the type of happy faces? There is no, like, whatever program you have, it makes transformation. Whatever product you sell, it transforms people, that's right? Transforms their life. So the sad phase are people from pain, and the happy outcome, it comes from the happy face. Did you get it? I don't want you to understand, I want you to get it, because everything will evolve around this concept. So when you want to stand in front of someone and you want to tell an engaging story, I would love you to remember sad face, happy face, what are the pain point, what are the happy outcome, and you just tell the story. Okay? Make sense? I will share with you a very simple model, which we shared it before, but I want to work on it in a different way today, where you should be able to make this particular part very simple. Okay? So, if we want to start with Denise, for example. So, Denise, what are the pain points you solve? One or two?
Fear of retirement.
So, you solve the fear of retirement, that's right?
Yeah.
So you solve the fear of retirement. So if you wanna stand in front of somebody and tell them, do you allow me to tell a story to share with you the impact? The story has to be around somebody, John or Jim or whoever, and you must articulate that they have a fear of retirement. Okay? So when I look at pain or a sad face, I'm not doing it for a comedy sad to happy. I'm doing it because I want to make sure. Sad face means pain. Happy face means happy outcome. The middle is the transformation. So, any questions here? Okay. Now, what are the basics of the story? Before it's recommended, as Tony Robbins is using, is we should tell why are you telling a story. So why are you telling the story? What are the reasons for you to share a story?
To show that we've got some solutions to
Okay.
offer.
So number one is to show our solution,
That we do have solutions.
or we do have solutions, right? What else?
Why are we telling a story to sell something?
Yeah, so you show you are selling something, okay? What else? Why do I want to tell a story?
To get their
Attention.
attention, input, their
Trust.
So if you want to get their attention or their trust, what else? Why do you need to tell a story?
I would say relatability.
Sorry?
Relatability, so they can relate to you, you can relate to them.
Yes, but we have they have to relate to it here. So what is your reason for you to tell a story? To engage them. What else? Maybe to create credibility. Credibility. So if I want to tell a story that I'm credible, the story will be about what? About my degrees, my number of projects, my impact, my number of customers, right? So when you get into the midst of stories, you have to identify why are you telling the story, because not all stories are similar. Okay, so now I will share with you a story, and this is exactly what somebody like Tony Robbins will do. He will say, Tony will say, I'm sharing with you a story to show you how this psyche is powerful.
To show what?
Psyche, for example, or law of attraction is powerful, or it serves people, and then from that point you can go ahead and tell the story. So you must be able to share with them relevant stories based on what you want to get them at. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So
you explain to them why the story would be important to them right up front?
yes, it's a very powerful tool if you explain to them why are you sharing with them the story. And believe me, if you share with them why you are sharing the story, and the story is not relevant to what you were sharing, all what they will get is why you shared with them the story.
What's the thought process behind asking? I hear a lot of the high-level speakers asking for permission to tell a story. Can I have your permission to tell a story?
Asking for a permission is you request them to be open enough to listen to the story. So it's a way to affirm that they are engaged with you. So asking for a permission is another level. But if you want to tell somebody a story, if I'm standing here and I'm doing my presentation, I have my title here and say, okay, I want to share with you a story about somebody because I want to show you that how this system was very effective, or how this system was just have a short period of installation, whatever it is. When you articulate why you are telling the story, all what people will get from the story is your why. There are few examples where, particularly Tony Robbins, he does not relate the same why from the story. But if you ask the audience, they will say, oh, this is what we learned from this story. So in adult learning, in people who have their brains not focused on what they do, they are focused everywhere, the way to focus is to ask for permission and then to tell them why this is relevant to them. So I want to share with you the story why Win Your Brand is so credible to do this. I want to share with you the story why I am the best guy in town to do this. I want to share with you the story about how successful what level of success we achieved with our other customers. Would you allow me to do that? Can I get your permission to have your story, to say my story? So asking for permission is a higher level. Right now I am in the lower level where I want to say, okay, can each one of you tell us a story? And this is what I will share with you. I will share with you a very simple way that you can basically ask an intelligent question and come up with a story which match your customers or your clients. Okay, any questions? How many of you here used to tell stories? Not read stories, tell stories. Okay. So why you want to tell a story is one of the key point in engagement. The second part is, who are the characters of the story?
Who are?
The characters of the story. Like each story will have characters, right? So who are the characters of the story? So who is the ultimate character of the story? If I'm standing in front of a sad face and I want to sell him a service to be a happy face, who is the ultimate character of this story?
The sad face guy.
The sad face guy. However, I cannot place him because I did not work with him yet. So it must be somebody who has the same
Exactly.
Pain points. So who here is small business owner? Who here is small banker? Who here whatever? Who here using the bus system? Guys, do you want to listen to a story on the bus system? A horrible experience about the bus systems. Do you want to? Can I share with you a story how to use the bus system effectively? So usually when you come in, if you can identify the pain point, you should be able to tell a story about somebody similar to him from your customer base who has similar pain points. Does this make sense? Okay.
So if you're preparing something but you don't know what your audience is going to be.
You cannot prepare something where the audience cannot, you don't know the audience will be. You have to have in your back pocket enough stories, enough true stories which cover the broad spectrum of your audience.
Okay.
And I shared with you this before. Okay, if I want to identify these guys, you have to use their own language. And one of the good examples of how we don't use similar language sometimes. How many here is self-employed? So people are self-employed, right? What does mean self-employed? What does mean self-employed?
They're in control of their business.
They are in control of their business. Who is here is solopreneur?
No.
But you did not identify yourself as self-employed.
No.
Who is here?
Well, I should.
Who is here
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
Who is what?
Entrepreneur.
The person
Who is here?
owns a business.
Who is here a small business owner? Who is here belong to as an SME? Small medium enterprise. By the way,
We're bludgeoning.
these five, each one of you belong to these 5 categories. By the way, okay? Like I know almost the business of each one of you guys.
Except me. I got 4. Am I,
So- Solopreneur, you still,
am I?
yeah, because you are the sole visionary guy in your business, and you hire people to work for you.
Okay.
Okay, these icons or these tags or these labels, different people like to. So this young man here, he would love the word entrepreneur and solopreneur and stuff. But if you go to others room, people say, "Oh, we are an SME, we are a small business owners."
What is this SME then?
Small,
Small,
medium,
medium
enterprise.
Small medium.
Which basically, to continue the definition, is from 1 to 499 employee. Small business is from 1 to 99 employee. And self-employed is from 1 to 4, and solopreneur is from 1 to 4, and the entrepreneur is anybody. 500 plus. Majority of us belong to these 5 categories, or 4 out of 5. So, if I want to connect with somebody, I have to know which label he will label himself at. Because if I want to make the story relevant, I have to use his own language. Does this make sense?
What's the last two?
Small business owner, small medium enterprise. Okay? So do you agree that each one of you is the 5 or 4 of the 5? Which one do you prefer to refer to yourself? Usually there is one favorite one. People like to do 1 or 2. And you'll be surprised when we go around and say, who is here small business owner? People raise their hand. Who is here entrepreneurs? They don't raise their hands because they don't know what the word is. If you go to people on 35, 40 years plus, they don't know this word. They don't like it. So if I want to talk about the same pain point, I have to make it relevant by picking up the right. Okay. It's very important if you talk about retirement or after succession, they call it succession planning, which is, and majority of the succession planning will be done for farmers, not for downtown people. I'm not sure why, but there are individuals who are they go after farmers and people who owns farms and own fields and stuff like that, and they sell them exactly what you are selling, exactly the same. Financial and activity planning after retirement. But because they identify their target market in this way, they be able to tell similar stories. Okay. The second part of the pain point is area of specialization. So I know, like you are really looking stuff for car owners or car sales dealerships, right? So if you want to tell a story about how emotional intelligence help individuals, it should be relevant to car salesman or dealership sales operation. It will not be relevant if you stand and say, I help somebody from the construction company how to close more deals or how to close more sales. It's not relevant, right? So when you understand these characters, you should be able to explain how you work with this character. So if you work with a stay-home mom, to stay-home mom, it was whatever class here, it must match your audience. The following question will be that, what if I don't know my audience? Like if I'm on a webinar, how will I be able to have a contact? Because you are recording the webinar already.
Survey, ask the questions.
You ask the question, and you know that your webinar will attract 4 or 5 classes of people. So I can use this trick. Who's here self-entrepreneur? Who's here? Any of these 5. I say, do you know, guys, that all of these are the same? And now I will tell you the story about somebody who's confused, doesn't know which one of those, so he's relevant to you anyway. Do you agree? People will say, yes, we agree. And then you can tell the story. If you are working with, like, you must be able to plan it in the way it's relevant to these people. Does this make sense? Is it difficult to do? Okay.
Reflection.
Sorry?
It'll take reflection. Think about it. Planning.
Okay, so I have here a sheet which can help you in the planning. So, and what you should do is answering under 8.2, can you put alternative characters of your stories? Like what are, like, you can answer 8.2, we'll go back to 8.1, but can you answer here? Can you take like 5 minutes? Let's call it 5 minutes. Can you write down who are the possible characters of your own story? And please use this paper, like I have enough, like if you need the blank ones, I have enough. But just fill this paper so we can get the job done. Can you write down, you have 3 lines and a half. Can you write in these 4 spots 4 different alternative characters of your own story?
What's my topic?
We just said the topic is your program who get sad face to a happy face. So who are the potential characters? You have 4 lines here. Can you put like 1, 2, 3, 4 and write who are the potential 4 characters or 3 characters if you want a 3 who you can tell a story around. And this will be your ultimate customers.
Do you want me to identify their pain, or do you want me to identify?
Who are they? Who are the characters of the story? The story is about how your service solving a problem to have happy outcome. So the main character here will be who? Small business owner, or a self-employed, or
So I'm not identifying a specific pain.
not yet.
Oh.
Here in 8.2, we want to talk about the characters. Who are the characters? For example, when you talk about retirement, the character may involve their grandkids and their kids. That's right?
Yeah, well, I was thinking at a higher level, beginning to adult people, like newly retired or ready to retire.
These are alternative. Well, now we talk about alternatives. So just put 1, 2, 3. Like one can be the new retired. The one will be retired in 5 years. The one will be already retired. And can you put who are like there is a second layer to it, but just start with one character. Who can be alternative? Can you put alternative 3 characters who you can use for 3 different stories? So, you cannot what?
Can't think of a title.
For what?
It's a person who's in charge of the maintenance for an entire, like, university or a college. What is that person called? Operations manager.
Operations manager.
Facilities manager?
Yeah, that'll work. Thank you. So.
You can have builders, you can have homeowner, you can have operational manager. And can we go through sharing now? Like if you are done with the characters, can you share who are these characters?
Yeah, for me, the characters are various levels of supervision.
It cannot be various level of supervision. It
It's
must be very specific.
us.
And this is why
Construction
what
manager, a job superintendent.
so you should write them because for
write
each
them all down.
one of them what you need to create a
It's a
different
team.
a different story. It cannot be the same because each one of them has different pain. It cannot be the same.
Well, can I tell you the pain? The pain is dealing with inexperienced people. They all experience that pain.
But they experience it in different ways.
They voice it as saying, I gotta be a darn babysitter again.
I understand, but my point is, if I'm standing in front of someone who is a superintendent, I have to talk to him about the superintendent pain point. If I tell him about the supervisor pain point, I'm not relevant to him because he's supervisor, he doesn't care. That's right?
Maybe.
No, it's right. Okay? If I'm standing in front of, when I go to, I talk about a site manager. The site manager will not be interested in the pain point of the workers or the superintendent. The site manager wants to make his job easy. That you may be in a view that each one of them has similar pain, but the articulation of each one of the pain is different. Because you want him to sign up, or you want him to refer you to somebody else to talk to. Are you lost? Corey, did you get it now? Like, I'm standing right now in front of someone, and the outcome of this meeting is you want this guy to refer you to somebody else, or to endorse your program that is relevant to him. If I want to endorse your program that is relevant to me in front of my superior, you have to talk about me, not my boss, not my the guys I supervise. The story may be the same, with only changing or switching the name superintendent to a site manager, but it has to be personal. It has to be at his level.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to share your
homeowners, architects in the construction field, general contractors, estimators, project managers, builders of the hotel or of the condo themselves, and facility manager or superintendent is the word I was looking for.
Wow. So how many stories do you need to build?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8. Probably a lot.
No, it's not a lot. Usually, on the average, you need to have at least 60 to 70 stories in your back pocket. If you want to stand in front of people, you must have that wealth of stories. Because I will wrap at the end and review something we discussed before. But I want to focus just today on this power of story. So, Mariana, who are your
so people who are suffering from anxiety and depression, people with relationship problems.
So people at this level of discussion is not relevant.
Okay.
It's a male or female.
Okay.
Or what is their so you should be able to zero in on exactly who they are, not people, because you want to make it relevant to the one in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so either women or men, depending on who I'm in front of.
Yep.
Okay. So men or women with relationship problems, men or women with issues around manifesting money, and men or women with low self-esteem.
Instead of just a thought, instead of saying relationship problems, because I would never admit I have a relationship problem because it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have communication problems? I would be more willing to say that than I would relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought. Yes.
Okay.
Any more input? The whole issue with what Marianne said is something different. Is she talks about people who have problems. How many of you guys here have problems?
Everyone else does it, but I don't.
This is exactly the right answer.
What did you say, Ron? Everyone else does, but I don't.
This is the exact answer. We don't know the problem. If we know the problem, like I have a car problem, I will go to my cousin Google, I found out how to solve it, that's right? But when my air conditioner is not working, I need somebody to tell me why my air conditioner is not working.
Gotta go to the expert.
You have to go to the expert, or you have to go to my cousin, and they give you like 5 kind of things, which is none of them is relevant. So you end up. So you have to be careful when you talk about this. That's if we go back to this classification, which we don't understand how we do it. This classification, if people identify the problem, they will be paying somebody to do it. It will not be you. You have to accept that. If I know what's my problem, I wouldn't come to you. Because there will be thousands of other people which is I will be. So we are taking these individuals through these pathways by showing them how the symptoms they suffer from are related to a pain point that we can solve. Okay? So when you talk about people having money issues is not a problem. But having bad relation with money, it's a problem. Nobody will say I have bad relation with money. When I talk about people having no money, or people having money and they waste it, or they don't take the maximum out of it. This is an observation, a symptoms. It's not a problem. Okay. Samir, you're quiet today.
I'm just catching up.
Okay. Do you agree on this?
So how would you say it then?
You have to come back with what is the impact of the anxiety.
Okay.
Like maybe anxiety is they feel anxiety, so because they
Is it the limiting belief that's causing all these other symptoms to occur? Like, are you asking her to identify the root cause?
No, we are asking to what are the symptoms?
What are the symptoms? Okay.
What's the
Something that
observation?
people
Can relate to.
Yeah.
So
it could be the money's coming in, but it's going out faster than it's coming in.
yeah,
That could be.
or the money, or I cannot manage. You cannot manage your money. You run out of money.
But then you're in danger of going into that financial planning area. People think you're a financial planner, so you have to be careful.
Here we are doing stories. So here, you didn't have a copy of this. So here we
That's
are.
what I was missing. Now I understand.
Yeah, here we are telling stories. So in section 8.2, we want to know what are the characters of your stories.
So did she define her characters, or did she define the problems? Because that was my initial question.
Mm-hmm.
She should define the characters.
So the characters in hers, if I'm getting this right,
They are
would be
people.
male or female, or specific titles.
Yes.
Okay.
Male or female, under 25 years old, under 35 years old, under 75 years old, based on who I'm standing in front. Because if I come to Denise and I talk to her about somebody 75 years old plus, Denise will not care because Denise is young heart. If I come to Denise and I talk to Denise about somebody is like teenager, she wouldn't care. So I have to come to Denise and say somebody at this particular class, 55 to 65, 50 to 60, wherever, so she can relate. That's right.
Right. So her characters would be somebody in a relationship or not in a relationship.
Okay.
And then based on that relationship, which you could kind of tie into age, what stage of relationship are you in? So there would be the people who are in starting a relationship, they've been in a relationship for years, those sorts of things.
Could be single, married, divorced, widowed.
This is another classification.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So is that a subclass of the character, or is that the character?
Is attributes to zero in on a very similar characters. And also you have to be clever enough because some people don't like to be targeted. Some people don't like to be targeted. So if I see somebody in front of me as divorced, I would say so and so which was separated. Not to be like, sometimes you have to be intelligent enough not to really hammer it on the head. And you learn these skills by just applying these stories all the time. Okay? You wanna kick in your...
Yeah, so I had my characters who could be self-employed, small business owners, directors.
Are they married or singles, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Directors of a corporation, company owners, or shareholders of a corporation.
Okay. So you need 5 stories, one each at least, or multiple stories for each. Okay. What's your characters?
Mine are the business owners, the clients, the salesperson, and the family. Sorry, so those 3 I would say.
What are the 3?
The business owner, the clients, and the salesperson.
Okay.
So they have to break them down to male, female too?
It should be. It should be.
My clients could be either male or female or together.
When you tell a story in front of somebody, it has to match this body. Okay? Any more discussion on what are the characters? I want to move to 8.3.
So when you say that, and now if I have to identify my characters as male or female in all of these classes,
Yes.
now I got to either tailor my story to be emotional or logical.
It's a different story. It's different angle to the story. At this stage, I want to take it step by step in a very slow way, in the slowest possible way. Your stories need characters. So when we stand in front of somebody who wants to have credibility of talking to people and trying to show you that he's so credible that he doesn't have the fear of talking to people. So he will talk about his dad, putting him on the stage. And he will go in, fill in for his dad who is drunk to save the whole event. And he will talk about the interaction with the audience. But the whole goal of the story is what? Is to get credibility that I can be a public speaker without training. And if I can do it, I can show you how you do it. The story I shared with you, which is I share in different capacity, different places, about the guy and the 3 stones. You know, the dad, the son, and the 3 stones. This story is a way to say it, is a reason to show you that somebody can have some ideas different than what you have or what you experience on a daily basis. So the story character is the dad, the son, and if I want to tell the story in a different way, it will be the business partner and business partner 2. It can be a husband and a wife. Based on where I want to position the story is still being relevant. It conveys a message. Okay? So when I understand why I'm telling the story and what are the possible characters of the story, I can create numerous, unlimited number of stories. And all of them will be relevant. Okay? Let's move to 8.3. And 8.3 will be, what are the pain points of your stories? Like, what are the pain points which you solve for these characters?
Dealing with difficult people or inexperienced people.
Okay. So, dealing with experienced people,
Inexperienced.
we have to come back to this model, which is relation, information or process, time, and money. So dealing with difficult people is what? It's a process.
Is it relationship?
No, it's a process. How I'm dealing with. How?
And the pain point is.
So this is okay. So this is how. This is who, and this is what. Questions. Okay.
So the pain point would be, I don't know how to deal with relationships.
Whatever this guy is saying, he only solves problems here, which is not the ultimate way to sell solutions.
What is IP?
It's information or process.
It's about information or process.
Okay, so we classify this model in so many ways. Way number 1, this is the behaviors of people. People will have behaviors toward money, toward relationship, toward process, toward what and the time. Or this are the interest of people to buy. So if I ask somebody, okay, so how to explore this interest? Very simple question. What did you do last summer? Or if you won the lottery, what you will do immediately? Can you give me a quick answer? It will tell you exactly what people are interested in. So these 4 quadrants are very important, because I will not allow, you deal with difficult people. Dealing with is how, and nobody really, if it does not impact their money, if it does not impact turnover, it doesn't matter.
It impacts money and it impacts.
You did not say it. Because remember the rules, the very first rule we talk about is you are selling to somebody who is one, they are ignorant of your solutions. So don't assume an ignorant will go in his brain and create linkages.
Good point.
Because they are ignorant. In different dialogue, I used to call them idiots, but my partner hates these terms. Okay. So
You're not knowing.
Yeah.
they are ignorant. They don't know your service. An ignorant guy will not have brain to link beyond the one level of your discussion.
Good point.
Okay.
Say that again, sorry, because you said good point.
An ignorant guy will not have a brain to link beyond one level of your discussion. That's it. So if you want to come and say, I'm providing this solution for the homeowner, and it will also impact the site manager, you have to articulate everything. You cannot stop and say you assume they will get it. They will not get it.
So say that the ignorant person has no link to.
They cannot link to the second level of information. It's only one level.
You have to draw the line for them.
You have to tell them, take them through the journey.
You have to draw the
Take them through.
So when I take you through the journey, I assume you are ignorant of my service and what are the pain points you are solving. So if you don't have an idea of the pain point, can you articulate one pain point in at least 3 quadrants? So Denise, let's just start with you. So your solutions, how you help with the money thing? You don't show them how they can effectively or how to have.
Stay away from financial.
So why you relate money to financial? Why didn't you relate money to investment in the program? Okay, it doesn't matter.
Oh,
You got my point?
The financial planning.
No, if I want to call it, I will give you a cost-effective solution to save your money and reduce your frustration, to plan your time after retirement. You are solving it for them. Anyway, when you put these symbols in front of people, it means something different based on the state of mind we are in. Okay? So, what are the 3 pain points you are solving to each one of the characters you positioned in 8.2? Do you want to share pain points?
Sure. As it relates to the quadrants,
Whatever pain points you have.
I've got overpaying taxes, which impacts dollars.
So overpaying taxes, what else?
Bookkeeping taxes is non-revenue generating,
Okay.
which goes against dollars and time. Taxes takes too much time, which is a time factor.
Okay.
No time to learn,
Okay.
another time factor. Have more time to prospect,
Yep.
which is relational,
Or have more time to focus on your business,
and more time for family.
or more time for family. Okay.
And the last one would be process would be workbooks and tools to simplify.
Yeah.
And a
So
system to make
more
things
time
easier.
for family is not a pain; it's a happy outcome. The pain is you have less time for your family.
Okay.
Okay, so just you may want to say it here or there,
No, I get
but
it, I
you,
get
you,
it.
you get the point.
Yeah.
Do you want to share the pain points now?
No. The fact that your project has many inexperienced people impacts your dollars, your dollar value, and the time that it takes to get the job done. Not only that, it shows that you need to include for an education component in the managing of your projects.
Okay, so you can talk about finishing outside budget, not under budget,
Finishing on budget
or okay. You may want to talk about taking more time for the project because of the turnover.
The cost of turnover.
Yeah, the cost of turnover.
Where do you find those numbers?
Okay. You may want to talk about the quality of the people working because they are not happy, they are not satisfied, they are difficult people.
All four.
You can have all four. You must have all four.
Must. That's what I wrote.
Don't use must, but you must. Okay, I'm not. Don't quote me on must. By the way, somebody was putting some numbers here the other day. He says 40% of us are relation, and 18% of us are here, and 28% of us are here, and the difference is here, which will be
46 and 40, 86,
14. Yeah. These are the percentage of the populations in North America who are more triggered in specific circumstances. Okay. The problem here is if you don't work with individuals, you will not meet these people.
You what?
You will not meet these people. Majority of us will meet individuals here as a oil and gas city. If you go to the farming side, it will be more here. If you go to the holistic earth and health care, it will be more here. If you deal with CEOs of companies, it will be more here. So this percentage are general if you walk in the street among everybody. However, if you are targeted and you target specific customers, you may end up, they want to know how things happen. So when I had my presentation in the Project Management Institute, the presentation was different. It was always targeting how you do things, not what you do. They don't care about the what, they care about how you do it. Okay?
Well, wouldn't they care about dollars and time because
Not everybody. Not everybody. Not
the
everybody.
project is supposed to come in with a budget under time?
Not everybody. It's based on their on their mindset and their background.
Actually, it's predictability. Because corporations, they need predictability, so dashboard, be able to have the ability to see what's going on is more important to them than the task.
Okay?
In some cases.
So when you ask questions, you should be able to understand which one of these is the right framework and which one you should lead with. We are not saying like you should talk here and leave the rest. The question is which one should I lead first? So it's exactly the same question. What if I tell you it's a very expensive program at the very beginning? Will you be interested?
Probably not.
There are individuals who will be, because there are individuals who only participate in very expensive stuff. Is it? Have you ever heard somebody come at you and tell you your program is underpriced? That's why you cannot attract customers.
I've been told that.
Okay? Because there are some elite people here who only pay lots of money for nothing. And there are some practical people here who wants to know and to get everything without even paying. And there are people here who wants to feel about it. So you should write back in under section 8.3 what are the pain points you are solving. And if you cannot, just to give you a tip, if you don't have any pain points, position it in this way. Can you make this is more, or can you reduce the loss? So if you cannot find any pain points, look at the possibility of saying, can you make them more money? Can you reduce their losses? Can you make them better people? Can you help better relationship? Can you reduce or can you avoid bad relationship? Can you give them effective way or an easy way? Can you get them on time or within a framework? So these are the only pain points people can solve. Okay. Any more questions or any discussions? Okay.
So for me, a lot of issues that come up are boredom or fear of boredom with all the time that they've got in retirement. And is that time?
No, the time you'll address it right now. You can address the time that you get a plan right now, so you don't have this.
Okay, and I do give them a plan. So is that the process?
The plan is the process.
Yeah. And
So you get them a step-by-step plan or personalized plan.
And then another problem is couples who each of them have a different idea of retirement.
So you reduce the conflict between or different ideas, which is a conflict between retirement discussions. Yep.
Yeah. And tools to talk to.
Yep. So when you give them tools to talk to, you say you facilitate the discussions. Okay. The second, any more discussions?
I have nothing. I'm really struggling with this.
So what are the pain points you solve to people? Because you mentioned it before. You said they have bad relationship.
Yeah.
They don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
So you already said it before.
Okay.
So that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any more sharing or any more discussions? The following question will be is, what is the defining moment? What make people wants to change? Remember, these people have pain point. They are sad face. They want to go to a happy face.
The defining moment is when the light goes on.
So, if this is your program, what is the defining moment? What makes them want to change?
Scare the pants off when we talk about people
When they
dying.
see how great your program is,
So,
when they see the value that you add is their defining moment.
nope. When they see the value, it's too late. Is what make people want. So,
Pay attention.
so sometimes we say when you get an audit letter from CRA. So, do you like to get such a letter? People will say no. So, the time to join is before you get the letter. So, what is the defining moment is very important. So, if I want to tell you the problem, what make you looking for a solution for this problem? How many of us here living with daily problems?
So
And don't step to solve it. Like I have problems, I don't step to solve it. One of my problems is funny. My son locked the door of the backyard, and the lock actually got broken. So I went in, I bought a different lock. I took the lock away, but because we have two locks on the door, and I put the hardware on the front, but there is no tongue inside. But because we have the lock on the top, I didn't care about the tongue. But I bought a tongue, like I bought a tongue and it was wrong tongue, and I changed it to the right one. But for the last 3-4 weeks, I didn't find a reason to install the new tongue. Do you get what I'm saying? Like why I'm living with this problem? Because there is no need to solve it. Everybody look at the door, there is the lock, and there is the hardware, but nobody noticed that the hardware doesn't have a tongue behind it. So basically, and the back door usually is locked. So do we really need a second tongue to it?
Until you got locked out.
So you don't have a problem.
So no, I do have a problem because the door is not complete. That's right. If I want to sell the house, no, people will comment on that.
yeah.
So this kind of problems we live with it daily. How many of us here doesn't have his walkway fully shoveled from snow? I know Shamir doesn't.
I do now.
You know,
Yeah,
how
his-
many of us
My
will?
neighbor has a snowblower. He does it.
How many of us will shovel just a little bit so people can walk by and they don't care about the rest? How many of our roads right now are not clear enough and you have to wait in the middle till the other car will come by, because otherwise you'll drive on this hilly ice,
I shovel my neighbor's walk.
you know? So we live,
You have
the point I want to make here is we live daily with issues. We call it problems or pain points. Do we have to solve it?
You prioritize it.
Do we have to solve it? The minute I have to solve it, it means what?
Defining moment.
My defining moment to solve it. How many of us know all the laws in Canada? None. Do you know all acts and laws in Canada? No. When you will start to read a specific law, when you will start to read the bylaw of animals around your or pets around your house, is when you have problem with a pet, or when you want to bring, or you want to have a cat or a dog or whatever. So it's very valuable in your story to articulate the defining moment.
Now, is this defining moment for when people actually use your product? Or
It should be, because the whole idea is I want to sell the transformational from sad face to a happy face.
so do you have to essentially put a testimonial there and say my
Not
product-
testimonial yet. Here we are trying to position a story. So when I said and stand, I want to tell you a customer story or somebody similar to your story. I want to say he's a salesman. He had 200 people coming to his store. He could not make a single sale. And why he is now looking to learn emotion intelligence. Maybe he got frustrated, he could not survive, so he looked around and he found my service, or he found okay. So you should put some source about what is the defining moment for people to take your service. In some occasion it's time related. In some occasion it's time, because they start a new project, or because they failed in the previous project. Okay, why people wants to carry more product like your product, Rob? Because the customers who come for similar product, they will go to your competitor. So let's you now have my offer. Do you want to say that?
No, I just have a question when you
Okay. Do you get the defining moment?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question?
So is the defining moment when something is sort of too late? So what I'm looking at here is a superintendent who maintains 100 elevators in a facility. Their pain point is managing all these elevators. The solution is a software that will manage the scheduling for them. So their defining moment technically would be when somebody dies.
When his supervisor call him to fire him because he cannot manage.
Defining moment is
This is one
their inability to manage.
Yeah, this is one defining moment when it risks his income. A second defining moment is he may have somebody else to die.
When it's too complex, when it's overwhelming.
Overwhelming. A second one when somebody died. So defining moment is what make people take the steps.
But those are extremes. Like in the case of your door example, your defining moment for you is when your wife tells you, say, I've told you 5 times.
Which is exactly yeah.
Or it's when you go to sell a house and the door falls through because you haven't changed it.
Yeah. The defining moment can be something very simple. Or you have people who stay over, and you want to make want to make sure that your house is well taken care of.
Yeah.
How many of us will just start to sort the whole house when we have visitors in?
Or clean it.
Or clean it, or vacuum it, So the defining moment doesn't have to be sophisticated. It has to be what make people take the steps to buy your service. Okay?
So mine could be laid off and they're bridged to retirement. So
Yes.
But also,
It can be in a planning stage where they have to have it like right now, so they know what the kind of activities they will plan in the next 5 years before retirement. And remember, guys, we are here at the abstract level. So if you got confused or overwhelmed, don't get confused, don't get overwhelmed. We are here at a very abstract level. We are trying to isolate the character from the pain points, from the defining moment. At a certain stage later on, we will link all of them to make one story, so it will make more sense. But if I know the defining moment for my guys, so when they start a business, when they start a project, when they struggle to be on schedule for the projects, this is our defining moment.
So a much broader one for me would be retirement is living in 1 to 5 years.
Yeah, it can be. Anybody's confused or anybody who needs help?
Yeah.
What is a defining moment that people will sign up for your service? Sometimes they tried out different systems
So,
and nothing worked for them.
I think I was just going to leave. I think that's a very good one for you because your offering Sidekick, it's not apparent to me or layman that can solve this problem. So it's more information driven to bring people to understand the pain points, and then the defining moment can be triggered by the fact that you've just highlighted to them and connected the dots. So I think yours is, like for accounting, the pain points, taxman is a pain point kind of thing. Yours, you have to actually lead them down a path, give them information, then they realize that's a defining moment, is getting that information, saying that's why. I think that's where people get that spark.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened with Bruce Lipton when he connected the two together and said Sidekick can actually deal with this science-based thing that I came up with, and that was the defining moment for that. So,
And this defining moment is described that when they don't know there was a solution and they realize there is a solution.
that's where I think most of hers will come from.
Because if they don't know there is a solution, if they are not aware,
Yeah.
okay, and now they found out the solution. And coming back to Mike's input, when you say this defining moment, you can stand and say, do you agree? If you say, do you agree, and the guy in front of you will say yes, it means what? It means they agree that this defining moment they experience right now. And this is a little bit in the advanced level. Okay? Zaf, any more discussions around defining moment? The following one would be, what are...
So, is there some soft defining moments for me? Like mine, you know, when I think of that, it's always severe. Like, CRA is demanding payment, CRA is demanding filing, payments to CRA are high, or spouse partner is pushing to be compliant.
And
What other things can you think that it might be your softer? Those are like extremes?
these are extremes, but the question will be is, do you want to have this moment to make a decision? Or do you want to be ready for this moment?
So the defining moment might be something in the future that they may experience, but they're not necessarily
Yeah.
needing to solve at this point.
Yes.
But they're aware of the accident ahead, perhaps.
So you use the defining moment in this case because this is not them. This is somebody like them.
Right.
So you are looking to establish a story where if they don't join this service, they will suffer the same experience. So you go more on the scarcity side of the story.
Right.
So we go around and say, you know, small business, new business is great. You don't have advisory board. And if you don't have advisory board, you made the wrong decision. And when you make the wrong decision, what will happen? Your business will not be able to perform. So if you position us as advisors early on, you save yourselves a problem. So instead of trying to rescue your business, now we are in a better planning to do your business. Do you agree? If they say yes, means they are open. Or if you say, can you relate? Are you ready now to get up? Do you have advisory board? They said no. So the point I want to make sure is every pain point for to do the transition, you must put a defining moment. If you don't have a defining moment, people will not move. Some of the defining moment is, do you want to suffer for the next 5 years with the same experience, with the same anxiety? Do you want to suffer for the next 3 months? Why you don't sign up now? Okay.
So
But
you're highlighting a problem which could be around the corner for them.
Yes.
Not necessarily something that is truly a problem at this time.
And this is in the advanced level of the stories. Okay? Remember, the very first question in this section is what? Why are you telling the story? That's right. So if the story to highlight a disaster coming down the road, what you will do? You will use a defined moment of the disaster. Okay? If the story is for them to sign up right now and overcoming all the objection of money, it will be somebody who is struggling. We help him. You sign up right now. We take away from the struggle from you. But each story must have a defining moment. Okay? Does this make sense?
So am I telling this story to focus on the happy outcome?
The happy outcome is the following part of the story.
So why? Again, we never touched on 8.1.
No, we discussed
Why?
it briefly.
Why am I telling the story?
Well, we discussed it briefly. We discussed the reason briefly, but I want to go first to the story structures. Then we want to because at the end of the day, each one of you.
So we're going to do this at the end. 8.1.
We will revisit everything.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. So I will skip 8.5. I will go to 8.6, and in 8.6 we talk about what are the happy outcome.
Making the sale.
No, happy outcome is not you making the sale.
I don't care about them.
No. Happy outcome is for the customers. When you have the sad face going to be a happy face, what makes this face happy? And you must be able to articulate it. And if you don't know how to articulate it, you come back to the quadrant. So when they apply this tool or when they join my programs, they have a process step by step. They were able to deploy it in everywhere or within their partners, which will make everybody on a board in the same wavelengths. Everybody is happy, less conflict, and it will help them saving money on bookkeeping and saving money from taxpayers, and they can meet all their reporting on time.
So is this more about benefits now?
Happy outcome.
Happy
What
outcome.
are the happy outcome of your service?
No, I know, but is that like benefits or is that different?
This is the happy outcome of your service. If somebody come to your service, what he will walk out from your service. Okay? Because the benefit of your service is you have a happy life. There is no definition for happy life. That's right. So when you look at the happy outcome relate to the 4 quadrant. And why they relate to the 4 quadrant? Because the pain point relate to what? Or 4. You don't need to have, just this is a way to organize your brain. Okay?
So basically, we're answering these points.
You answer these points,
Positive out.
the positive outcome. And to answer these points using contradicting words or like the opposite of each one, there is a debate about that. So somebody is looking for money opportunity, or somebody is looking for a job, and I'm helping, and he just frustrated. He cannot find job. He applied everywhere, and his CV, he did not realize that his resume was bad. And when he met someone who reviewed his resume, he said the resume is not good. So he looked around to make good resumes. He came to me, and then work out on his resume through my program, and when we edit the resume and we spend 3 hours on it, it indicates that I will charge you by hours, right? He was able to apply to 7 jobs and be interviewed in 3 and pick up 1. Okay? Some people will say, if you want to use the opposite words, somebody doesn't have money, I was able to show him the money. It looks superficial. Some other sorts, they said, it affirms that you can solve the problem. So whatever language you use here, it doesn't matter. You go down, try it out, and do the best out of it, and see how this will impact people in front of you. So what is the happy outcome? The happy outcome is there is a process. They have a good relation. There is an awareness on the relationship. They can save money, or they can be more profitable, and they can achieve their time. They can have immediate results, or they can meet the stuff on schedule. We are not born sales, and car salesmen can sell anything, and the car salesmen are not labeled in the hospital as car salesmen, and the elevator salesmen are not labeled as elevator salesman, and any salesman can sell anything.
You need glue to Eskimos.
It can sell, any good salesman can sell anything.
Ice to Eskimo.
Okay? Because they can identify the pain. Okay? So, can you spend a couple of minutes articulate what are the happy outcomes? And don't be shy. If you say you will close more sales and make more money, you say it. You will create a better engaged customers where you can go and upsell them. You say it. When you say you apply, you learn a system where it can be applied to these projects and other projects, and it will shift the culture of your business, of your company, and you can meet all timelines and all budgets. You say it.
Can I have the colored pencils, please? Thank you.
Where's your sidekick, Bob? Where's your sidekick? Where's your sidekick?
My sidekick is busy at other things too. Thank you for asking.
You remind me, I did not take my rim.
Oh.
Man, I went today. It's a very bad store to buy food from.
Which one?
They transformed to be like McDonald's.
Which one?
Tim Horton.
Why?
They don't have the bagels, cheese anymore on the menus. They have all this kind of things. Like you feel like
where
you're.
you can't figure out how to order anything because they have this. Yeah, those menus are horrible.
They changed them in August 1st, 2017. So you
You
go
had to
there.
put it in your calendar?
What?
Was that like a defining moment for you?
Yeah, it was a pain point.
That was a defining moment. I
It
guess.
is a pain point. Those menus.
My
are
point
horrible.
is I wanted to have coffee on my way, and just because I'm sick, I could not. I didn't want to stop anywhere for a coffee. I don't want to make extra travel. So on my way there is a Tim Hortons. So I stopped at this Tim Hortons, and my defining moment is I didn't want to go through the drive-through because there's so many cars. So I park on the street in a spot which available. I go, walk in, and I walked inside the store, and I realized this is maybe the first time to walk in the store more than 6 months or more. I never been in a store inside, and then I looked at the menus. None of the menus are brand new menus for me. Pictures and even the actual sandwiches are different.
Not a menu.
I don't know.
Anything but a menu.
It's tough. You have to wait for the thing to flip
To go
over.
through, it is like.
Yeah, it kind of bagels your mind.
Yeah.
That's a Tim Hortons.
And well, yeah, but they followed McDonald's lead.
They followed the Burger King. Then they got acquired by Burger King. They followed Burger King leads. You know, Burger King has a secret meal. Burger King in Canada is still doing the meal of the day, which is $5.25 for a specific meal. So Wednesday is a Whopper. This is Wednesday. I believe Thursday is fish. So every day in the week there is a special meal which come from $9 to $5. But they never announce it anywhere.
I don't even know where a Burger King
You know.
I don't either.
That-
I'm
that's
surprised you
into
know so much about
Country
Sorry?
House.
7-day meal plan. Burger King.
So when you have kids, this is what happens. You know. The kids were.
I have kids and I never do that.
Oh, my kids, the boys love this stuff, man. Anyway, okay, so
Kids get,
if we want to visualize, and you guys know me as a visual guy, if we want to visualize the story is as follows. Here is the story, which is a stool stand on pain point, defining moment, happy outcome. And on the top here, you have to tell us why and who should sit on this stool. And how many stools do you have at your home? You don't have one, right? So this is the exact story structure. So can each one of you tell us one complete story based on this structure?
What's the last one?
Happy outcome.
Happy outcome.
So can someone practice on us? So the pain point are the sad faces. The happy outcome are the happy faces. Defining moment is what makes people take that the journey to change. And that's it. So when I stand on the stage, I remember number of stools I have. 60 stools. I remember each one. And I basically look at each one and I can tell a story. I don't have to memorize them. I don't have to write them. So can you stand right now, tell us one story? You have all the elements, by the way, because we talked about who, we talked about pain point, defining moment, happy outcome.
I can tell a story.
Yeah, tell a story. Stand up and tell a story.
1985. I was called in to Piggott Construction. I was
No,
qualified.
I wanted a story from your paper.
From where? I want a story. I didn't write the whole story.
No, I want a story from here.
Well, it is.
Okay? Okay?
Somehow.
Keep going.
Anyway, I get a personal interview with Mr. Piggott from Piggott Construction. He has huge pain points. He had a project that went sideways. He fired the superintendent, the project manager, and they were looking for somebody to take it over. And they asked me if I would do that. And it was simple. I said yes, without even thinking that I would get myself in trouble. That was a defining moment for them. Holy smoke, this guy's willing to do this. And the happy outcome was I got the project completed on time. And it was for the Ontario nurses building, and they got to move in when they were supposed to. So there was, defining moment was very short because I accepted to take on a difficult project, and the happy outcome was there at the end.
Okay. I love the story. Who else here loves the story? It's a good story?
Yep.
Do you allow us to make the story much better?
Can I what?
Do you allow us to tell you what you can make the story more powerful?
Of course.
So when you talk about they have a project sideway, it may help to talk about the quality of the project.
Yes.
How big is the project? How much money was there? How big is the size of the employees in the project? Because having a project going sideways is not intriguing, but having a critical projects in the company lifetime, which is maybe the largest project the company took, which is $100 million projects, where 2,000 employees or workers work. This now is more interesting. I'm more interested now to listen. Okay. So when you talk about these pain points, you look at the quantification and the qualification, and don't tell me which Q is what. Okay. The question is why they talk to you, and if you can use this to give yourself the aha moment of credibility. They heard about you from somebody, they were watching you, they know you are up to the challenges, they whatever it is. And you never use the word simple.
Simple.
Because you
I
said,
use that word?
oh yeah, use this word.
I used the word?
You use this word. You said this was simple for me because I'm not paying you money for simple stuff.
I didn't realize I used that word.
Okay? That's why it's very important for us to practice these stories. I practice them. I record myself before every day, every night I come to these events, and when I have stories and new stories in particular, I practice them. I record myself. Also, in the happy outcome, you can talk about the quantification and the qualifications. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Can we get another volunteer for another story? Yes, sir.
So we talk about my client. So my client was struggling with breaking even in his business. He had issues dealing with his business partner, who was continually poking at him, saying, "You never convert any clients. You never get any big projects." And this person, my client, was, when he heard that, it would take him weeks and weeks to overcome that. And so, and he was also so dejected that he never even looked at his finances to see how well he was doing. He just knew that he wasn't getting projects, and he knew that he was dipping into reserves, cash flow reserves. And so he was feeling the pain, and finally, I think it was his wife who interviewed me and said, "Can you help my husband?" And the wife basically told him that maybe you should go sit down with him. I sat down with him, I heard his pain, I realized who he was as an individual, and he was underselling himself. So when I showed him, using some of the key techniques that I use to help that person overcome anxiety, fear, and all the things that run around in his head, when I cleared out what other people were saying about him, and when he realized what he was as an individual, he began to turn his messaging around. So I was helping him do that. Last year, his net income was on a 6-figure loss. This year, we're projecting a 7-figure net income increase. This is in less than 1 year that I worked with him. It was a complete turnaround from the inside out.
Wow. Any input for this story?
That's a good story.
Would you allow us to do it better?
Oh yeah.
So if you
Can
look
I
at
get it to an 8-figure income? Would that be better?
no, if you look at the structures here, we talk about who. So I would come at the very beginning and say, my client who has a partner, or my client who is married and have a partner in his business. Because when you bring the partner later on, it may not be flashy enough, but in your case, you'll be looking for businesses who have different partners. So when you
So my target is not somebody who has a business partner. My story was around how emotions.
I understand, but when you talk about who are the characters,
Right.
okay? Remember, once upon a time, Cinderella was her father died and she lives with her stepmoms, right? They tell you all the characters up front.
Okay, interesting.
Okay? So the dangers of doing that is when you say who are they, you will be reflecting the same structure. So I will understand now that you only work with people who have 2 or more partners, not one partner. So you may want to dim the partner and you talk about colleagues or workplace friends or colleagues or employees with him or wherever, you know. So this is one area where it will be.
So was it the business owner or was it the wife?
Business owner. What's
Did the business owner have a partner
Yeah.
that was nagging at him? And the wife stepped in and said, hey, to make this better? So it's 3 people.
There was another one who referred me to him, and then the wife interviewed me before I even got there.
And this is very
A whole
important.
bunch of
Because
And
I
this,
didn't know whether the business partner was the wife or whether the business partner was just another person.
It was another person.
Okay.
and this is very important. If somebody refer you, you should put this in the defining moment as a referral. Because if somebody will refer you, it means what?
You have credibility.
You have amazing credibility. That's right. So somebody referred me, and do it.
So his best friend referred me to him.
Okay. So his best friend, who he trusts, because remember we deal with ignorance. So if I want to talk about his best friend, I should also qualify and quantify who he trusted or his long, like. When you write it down, there are extra spices. Remember, we remember the spicy food, but we don't remember what we were eating, right? There are some spices you can add. One more thing, which is in section 8.5, we talk about. We always recommend to have the defining moment as 3D. 3D defining moment, which is a term I'm known with in this market. It will help people come with you in the journey. So when I say I was referred by his best friends or his trusted best friends, and then I sat with his wife for an interview, and we sat in this. I hope it was not a meetup, but we sat in this meetup, and the people were going by, and we hear the glasses, and when I start to talk about the 3 dimension around me, you guys got engaged. That's right. When I come and tell you the story, like, I remember when these guys came in and they told me to tackle the problem, and we sat in the office of the manager, and he has this nice bookshelves with the flowers on it. You are now with me in the flowers, right? So when you define, when you talk about defining moment, focus on the 3D aspect for it. I know you don't have time. Sometime. However, if you bring it as a 3D, it will be more memorable. People will memorize few things, memorize where is the experience, and will memorize the horrible things, the unusual stuff. Why we memorize the spice food, and the native Indian will not, or an Indian will not memorize the spice food, because the spice food for us is what?
Normal.
Is not normal.
Uncommon.
Like for me, if I drink wine, I will always remember it because I don't drink wine on a daily basis. But somebody drinking wine on a daily basis, he will not remember when he drank wine. That's right. So we memorize whatever uncommon, whatever outrageous, whatever doesn't make sense. We memorize the deep pain. You know, when these guys were fighting and the police came, or you know, when these guys were fighting and he slapped her on the face and her face got so many bruises, and then she kicked him in his tummy and he ended up having an internal bleeding. Which one of the stories you remember more? The internal bleeding and the face, or they have fighting? Which one? Okay.
The internal bleeding was more painful.
Why you will always remember it? Because it's more painful, it's abnormal, it's not usual. Okay? So when you tell the stories, you have to memorize that. You have to memorize that when you tell a story, the story is for a reason. I want to tell you a story for why I'm telling you the story, who are the players of the story, and the story is pain point, 3D defining moment, and happy outcome.
Do you have to say why in the story, or just before you do the story?
Before the story, you should
You
tell.
say why.
Would you mind? Are you open to share? Can I share with you a story on one of my customers, or one of my clients, or one of my users? Okay.
Say or something that I experienced.
you can say, however, if you say, can I share with you a story of my customer, it means what? You have customers.
Credibility.
It means you have customers. It means you have business.
So if you say customers when it's not a customer, it's really you. Just say one of my customers.
It will be one of my clients,
Yeah.
or it will be one of my friends, or one I was helping exactly like you. But if you have customers, if you have people who pay you money for that, one of my students in my classroom. That's right. So when you have this kind of language, people will understand automatically that you have a business. You are not. So if you have a business, they are open for what? To be sold. That's right. So if I say I have a business and I have a customers and I'm sharing with you a story of one of my customers, it means I have a business.
That's three-dimensional.
That's what?
That's what you mean by three-dimensional.
The three-dimensional is you must be able to take them into a journey inside your story. So when you tell me they had a talk with me and they select me, or they call me up. No, they didn't call me up. I had the phone ringing. I say, hi, hello, how are you? I found my boss on the other line. He called me for a meeting. I ran to the meeting, to his office. It's a big office. It has this bookshelf. It has this nice window where I see the whole site. And he asked me to sit in front of him, and I was so scared. Why he called me? Why he fired me? And suddenly he said, you know what? We have this problem, and we want to get you to solve it for us. And then I asked him why. Why you select me? Because you are one to. This exact sentences I put in like half a minute right now is equivalent to all what you said. Is they had a chat with me, or they talked to me. Okay, they talk to you. They talk to you. If you want me to be engaged, you have to take me through the 3-dimension. You have to take me through the 4-dimension. You may want to talk about the aroma of the coffee or the aroma coming out of his pipe, because you know what, son? This time they used to have pipes. They used to smoke. It was not. That's right. So when you bring this kind of engagement point to your daily stories, people will remember.
That's
Like,
what you mean by 3D.
by 3D, yeah, make it 3-dimensional.
Like,
Explain how it happened. Take them a walk through. Take them inside the atmosphere. Let them smell it, feel it, sense it.
so 3D is an emotional tendency. Added descriptions of the moment.
Yes. And the added description of the moment, but remember, we do stuff with a high level of ethics, with integrity. So the positioning of the story, when you tell, if you want to get your followers to learn from stories, you can expand here on the
3D is related to the defining moment.
Yes, it's related here to define a moment, but it can be related to anything else. Like a pain point, he could not pay his bills on time, and his wife came in, and this other day they were sitting in the car, and she was screaming to him because they were just in risk.
It's used to enhance the story.
Yes.
That's all.
Screaming at him while he was
3D
smoking a
stories.
joint.
Adds spice. You're painting a picture.
It's a 3D story.
So you can put 3D anywhere if you like,
And he was.
but
she was still yelling at him.
but remember, you only have like 2 minutes, or 1.5 to 2 minutes in all of these stories. So you don't wanna stretch it. You only stretch your personal story if you like, because people will be eager to know who are you and what you can do. So can you work out stories in this way? And these stories are not about you. These are just stories about people who have similar pain. Because after the break, when we come back after the break, we will talk about your own personal story, how you can structure it in a different way. Okay? Any feedback or any?
So, yeah, because like when I'm starting off with a talk, like, can I tell you a little bit more about myself so that why you should even listen to me? That's my own story, right?
This is your own story, and this is what we'll talk about after the break.
Yeah. So this one wouldn't replace that one.
No, it wouldn't. Will be about somebody who has the same struggle as me, and you want to convince me to buy your service or to even consider listening to you, or even to visit your website. So when you go stand and say, how many of you are business owners, and people will raise hands, we expect to hear a story about what? How many of you here is struggling with cash flow? So when you have these kind of questions, the immediate question will be about a business owner who's struggling with cash. That's right. Denise, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have to put my sister in Texas. So.
Okay. So let's just have a break for the...
Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.